Ready for a deep dive into local politics. Today we're going through the Flint, Michigan City Council meeting minutes from June 24th, 2024.
We're going back in time to see what decisions were made and how those decisions are playing out today.
Right, because this meeting happened back in June, and we're recording this on September 26, 2024.
It's like we're playing detective.
Exactly. We're looking for clues to see how these past decisions are shaping the city today and might affect its future. So, like always, we're using the Minutes to Masterpieces method to do a deep dive. These meeting minutes might not seem exciting at first glance.
But trust me, they are.
They really are. It's like peeking behind the curtain of local government. You see the debates, the compromises, and the decisions that directly impact people's lives.
It's a democracy in action.
It really is. Okay, so let's get into it. One of the big things that jumped out was the budget. Always a hot topic, right?
Always. Everyone wants a say in how the city spends its money.
And there's never enough to go around.
That's the truth.
So there were discussions about infrastructure, roads, those pesky potholes.
A tale as old as time.
Right. But here's where it gets interesting. Flint was also considering using those same funds for a brand new youth center.
Talk about a tough choice. Fix the roads everyone complains about or invest in the next generation.
Tough indeed. So tell me, what stood out to you about this budget showdown?
Well, it was really interesting to see how the council members framed their arguments. Some were all about the practical stuff, fix the roads, we need to attract businesses. But others, they got really passionate about the youth center. They talked about it being an investment in Flint's future, giving kids a safe place to go.
It's that classic dilemma of needs versus wants, but on a citywide scale.
Exactly. And you could feel the weight of that decision in their words.
It wasn't just about line items on a spreadsheet. It was about real people's lives. Okay, so we've got budget battles brewing. What else is going on in Flint?
Well, remember that new apartment complex you mentioned earlier, the one slated for downtown?
Ah, yes. Development projects, always a source of debate.
Always. Because on one hand, you've got the potential benefits, economic growth, new housing, maybe even a revitalized downtown. But then
there's the other side of the coin.
Exactly. Concerns about gentrification, people being priced out of their own neighborhoods, and that worry that the city's character will be lost.
It's a story playing out in cities and towns all over, right? This balancing act between progress and preservation.
Absolutely. And the minutes really captured that tension. You could sense the anxiety from some residents who love their city and don't want to see it change too much.
It's like that old saying, be careful what you wish for. You want progress, but sometimes it comes with unintended consequences.
Exactly. And it's up to the city council to try and find that sweet spot where everyone benefits. Or at least that's the goal.
Right. Easier said than done, though, I'm sure. So we've got budgets, development, anything else catch your eye in these minutes?
Well, there was one more thing, and this one's a bit more unexpected. We're talking park benches.
Park benches. Okay, I did not see that one coming. Tell me more.
So the city was thinking about installing these new park benches made from recycled plastic.
Sounds pretty environmentally friendly.
Right, but some council members weren't thrilled about the idea. They were worried about how the plastic benches would look, especially in some of the older parks with more historic designs.
So it became a debate about aesthetics versus sustainability.
Precisely. And it turned into this whole discussion about preserving the city's character and heritage. Some council members felt strongly that the plastic benches just wouldn't fit in.
It's fascinating how something as simple as a park bench can become a symbol for bigger issues.
It is, and it shows how local government decisions, even those that seem pretty minor, can be connected to larger cultural and societal values.
Okay, so we've got budget battles, development dilemmas, and now park bench polemics. And we're just getting started. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're digging deeper into this Flint, Michigan City Council meeting where even the park benches are sparking heated debates.
Right. But beyond budgets and benches, these meeting minutes also reveal a city grappling with something pretty profound, actually. They're trying to figure out how to tell their own story.
Ooh, I like that. And they're using public art to do it.
Exactly. The council was looking at a proposal for a bunch of new murals around the city.
Murals are awesome. They can really transform a space. So what kind of murals were they thinking about?
Well, there were some ideas about showcasing Flint's history, the automotive industry.
Of course, Flint's automotive legacy is huge.
It is. And then there were some thoughts about maybe incorporating music into the murals, too.
Oh, yeah. I can see it now, like a giant mural of a classic car with musical notes swirling around it.
Something like that. But here's the thing about public art, right? It always sparks this question. Whose stories get told?
That's a good point. It's about representation, right? Making sure the murals reflect the diversity of the community.
Exactly. And the council was definitely wrestling with that. The minutes talked about making sure they selected artists to represent the full spectrum of voices in Flint.
Because it's not just about painting pretty pictures on walls. It's about making sure everyone feels seen and heard.
Right, and that their stories are part of the city's narrative.
It's like we were saying before about those development projects. It's about finding that balance. You want to move forward, but you also want to honor the past and make sure everyone benefits from the changes.
Absolutely. It's about progress without erasure.
Okay, so we've got art, we've got development, we've got budgets. Anything else these council members are tackling?
Well, one more thing kept popping up, and it's something a lot of people can probably relate to. Transportation.
Ah, yes, getting around the city. Or sometimes not getting around the city.
Exactly. It seemed like everyone had something to say about public transportation in Flint.
Public transportation can be a major pain point, especially in cities that were designed more for cars than for buses and bikes.
Totally. And in the meeting minutes, you could sense the frustration from people who rely on public transport to get to work, to school, to doctor's appointments.
Because if the bus is late, or if the route doesn't go where you need it to go, it can have a huge impact on your life.
Huge. And it can trap people in a cycle, They can't get to a better job because the bus doesn't go there, and then they can't afford a car because they can't get a better job.
It's like a catch-22.
Exactly. And while there weren't any easy answers presented in this meeting, it was clear that the council needs to address this.
It makes you wonder, what are cities like Flint doing to improve public transportation? Are they looking at things like ride-sharing programs or expanding bus routes? Maybe even those self-driving buses we keep hearing about.
Right. There are so many possibilities, and it'll be interesting to see what solutions they come up with.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the most important issues facing a city aren't the flashy headlines. It's about the everyday things that impact people's lives, like being able to get to work reliably.
Exactly. It's about making the city livable for everyone.
Okay, so we've got art, we've got transportation, and a whole lot of budget discussions. Anything else in these meeting minutes that caught your eye?
Okay, get ready for this one. Remember how we mentioned a little international intrigue earlier?
Oh, yes. I always love a good international connection. What's the scoop?
So get this. Flint is considering a partnership with a town in Tanzania.
Wait, hold on. Michigan and Tanzania, that's quite the pairing.
I know, right? It seems totally random. But as we dug into the minutes, we found a really interesting connection between these two places.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So both Flint and this town in Tanzania, it's called Iringa, have faced major challenges with water management.
Ah, water management,
Yeah.
of course. Given Flint's own history with its water crisis, it makes sense that they'd be interested in connecting with other communities facing similar issues.
Yeah, exactly. And while the specific problems might be different, like Flint had that whole infrastructure disaster, and it seems like Iringa is more focused on things like water conservation and how to use water for agriculture.
Right, but even with those differences, there's common ground there.
Definitely. It's like they both understand how essential water is and how quickly things can go wrong if you don't manage it properly.
So this partnership, it's not just about like cultural exchanges and stuff like that. It's about sharing knowledge and strategies for dealing with a really critical issue.
Right. It's like this global brainstorming session. You've got people in Flint and people in Tanzania all coming together to figure out how to solve this problem that affects everyone.
I love that. It shows that even though these places seem so different on the surface, they actually have a lot in common, and they can learn from each other's successes and failures.
Exactly. It's like that old saying, two heads are better than one. But in this case, it's more like two cities are better than one.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're wrapping up our exploration of this Flint, Michigan City Council meeting, and this last part is full of surprises.
Right. Who knew city council minutes could be so full of twists and turns? We're talking about Flint possibly teaming up with a town in Tanzania.
Okay, let's back up a bit. What does a partnership between a city in Michigan and a town in East Africa even look like?
So it's called a sister city partnership. Sister city.
Yeah, basically it's like a formal friendship between two communities in different parts of the world.
So what do they do? Like exchange postcards and stuff?
It's more than that. It's about sharing ideas, cultural exchanges, maybe even doing projects together.
Okay, so it's like a way for cities to learn from each other, even if they're miles apart.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it sounds like Flint is looking to Iringa, Tanzania, for some inspiration on how to deal with water management challenges.
Which makes sense, given everything Flint has gone through with its own water crisis.
Right, that shared experience creates a strong foundation for collaboration, even though the specific issues might be different.
Right.
It seems like Iringa is really focused on things like water conservation and how to use water efficiently for agriculture.
So, different context, same big issue. Exactly. And by sharing knowledge and strategies, both cities can learn and hopefully avoid making the same mistakes.
It's like they say two heads are better than one, or in this case, two cities are better than one.
Exactly. It's a global brainstorming session.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've gone from budget showdowns to international partnerships. It's amazing what you can learn from a stack of city council meeting minutes.
It just goes to show you that local government is anything but boring.
Right, and that the decisions made at this level can have far-reaching impacts.
Absolutely. What happens in Flint could spark an idea that solves a problem in a completely different part of the world.
It's all connected.
It is.
Well, this has been fascinating. It's amazing how much insight we can get from just digging into these local government meetings.
It's like we always say, the real action is happening at the local level.
It's where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly.
So, for those of you listening, what surprised you about this deep dive into the Flint City Council meeting?
Yeah.
What questions do you have about your own local government?
We'd love to hear from you.
Hit us up on social media, send us an email. Let's keep the conversation going.
And if you have an idea for a future deep dive, a meeting you think we should cover,
We're all ears.
until next time, keep exploring and stay curious. You never know what hidden gems you might find in the most unexpected places.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.